Hello. Hi there, everybody. I'm just going to go to Facebook and just get it working for myself. wpbuilds.com/Facebook and see if I can see this live video going on. If anybody is there, feel free to just say hello in the comments. I can see that there are a couple of people there already, which is very nice. Hi Mike, good morning, he says from Colorado. That's very nice. Hi Mike. And hi Rick, how you doing? Well, I think we'll just sort of crack on if that's all right. We are very, very generously today. Oh, by the way, I should probably introduce all of the guests. Now, I'm trying something a bit new today. I hope that this works. I've got this thing called a Stream Deck, which enables me to push buttons and show different scenes. And hopefully you'll be able to see in a moment that there's me here. Hello. And also, I'm going to try this again, Paul, on that. Yes, that side is Paul. Paul Lacey, how you doing? Do you want to give us your 20-second elevator pitch that has nothing to do with chickens?
Nothing to do with chickens. I don't know if we can actually see ourselves at the moment. In the Facebook thing, I can only see the.
There's about a 30-second lag. So whatever we say live is about 30 seconds behind, but it seems to be working. Look at that. That's a bit cool, isn't it? It's got your name just there. I can
see it. And Alex and Dimi have like coordinated on shirt colours and everything.
Yeah, it's all good.
So yeah.
We've talked before the show. So.
I got it. Yeah, cool.
So Paul, elevator pitch. Who are you?
Okay, Paul here. I'm brand advocate for RunCloud. No, I'm not. I'm a brand ambassador. Same thing. And also, last week I was trying to push a niche for my Dicky Birds agency, because we specialised last week in websites for anything to do with birds and poultry and stuff like that. It's not worked out very well.
Oh, you've only had a week. So, you've not stuck the course. So what have you moved on to this week?
I'm going to say I've got a new brand. It's called brothersmate.it. And what we do is we help businesses by taking their agency's quote for a fixed fee of $49.97. And we'll pick loads of faults in it and then claim we can do it for $200. And it helps get the quote down for your business's quote from their agency. So if Alex's agency is doing a quote for you, come to us, $49.97. We'll pick loads of faults in it and claim we can do it for
$200. It's brilliant. I mean, who knows what we'll have this time next week? But so far, you failed at poultry. Something tells me by this time next week you're going to be scrabbling around for a new niche. But I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on. And there is Dimitrie Baitanciuc. Hi, Dimi. How are you doing?
Yeah, mostly dodging pitchforks these days.
Oh no!
We're great. I'm great. We are preparing a huge update a big update actually for Greasy this week. It will come in a beta form for our beta testers from the community, and we are pushing hard to make Breezy the best WordPress page builder out there. So.
And dodging pitchforks by the sounds of it. Actually, Dimi, when we get into the plugins bit, if any of you three remember, can we give Dimi a bit of time to talk about that, because that'd be nice. But I haven't written it down. But if you've got something you want to share, something on the horizon, that'd be really nice. That's kind of one of the benefits of coming on this. You get to tell us all about your stuff. So that's good. And then we've got Alex Calinov. How are you doing, Alex?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. I have a small web design agency, but mostly my background is in digital marketing. I work with a lot of funnels, lead magnets, tripwires, and just Facebook advertising. And of course, with less than an hour notice, Paul kind of blackmailed me into coming into this live, so here I am.
We've booked these well in advance, and you know how life goes. A couple of people who had booked on were unable to for family events, and so Alex has very, very kindly offered to step in, and that's really good. And I'm just going to show you what it is we're going to be talking about. If you go to wpbuilds.com like this, and then you head over to the archive section, and you click on the news archive button just there and wait for a few seconds. Then it's always this one, it's always the top left one, and in this case it's WordPress news number 74. And just a couple of we've added these little share icons this week, so if you want to share things on Facebook or Twitter, if you find this handy, please feel free to share it. And we're going to go through this. We'll try to do it in some kind of order. I'm sure we won't exactly manage to get the order right, but anyway, we're gonna make a start of it. So let me find the piece of news. Here it is. Let's drag it into the right screen so they can actually see it. And we block the news into like various different sections each week. And the section that I'm going to deal with first is all about WordPress core. And I believe, Paul, you've decided to take on the onerous task of talking about nesting capabilities which have been added to the cover, media and text block. So it's over to you, Paul.
Yeah, so this is an article from the website called WP Tavern. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
Yeah.
But we've definitely heard of it. So it's a new feature in the Gutenberg plugin. So from what I understand, that means if you're running the Gutenberg plugin, you get the new features rather than the standard block editor. And it's a new feature for nesting capabilities for the cover, media, and text blocks. So if anyone saw last week, there was some user testing that had been done on the Gutenberg plugin, and it didn't come out too well. And one of the things that I remember the people who were on that were being asked to do was to create a cover image with some text inside and stuff like that. And I think this particular update really is going to make that much easier for people. So I think it feels like it's going in a slight direction where you can visualize things a little bit better inside the Gutenberg editor. So it's a really nice update. And then the other update that is with that one is just that with the button module, the button block, sorry, you can define a target for your link, so you can pop it out in a new window, stuff like that, new tab.
I think it's quite cool. I think it's all going in the right direction. I mean, it's not there yet. There's an awful lot to be added in.
It's maybe it's only me, but it seems a bit old. That not old, but maybe we needed to do this the other way around, right? I feel like they've done something, and now we're trying to patch things up and fix it and update it and make it fit something. Maybe all this, maybe if we would have planned it a bit more, or maybe think about it from the start. It seems like now we've made something, and now we're trying to.
It's almost mission impossible in some ways, because obviously, you've got the Brizzy page builder, and I've got the lifetime deal for Brizzy, and I've used it, and I can tell you that the Brizzy user interface is the best out of all of the page builders. It's just mega. It really is. The user interface is super intuitive. It's the absolute opposite of Gutenberg.
But why do you think a company with huge resources, huge resources and teams all over the world, maybe this is the problem actually, they maybe it's the core, they need to think of something that needed to fit everything that came from behind, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah. Yeah, it just feels like it's impossible to fix it.
We're 20 people, right? And we worked for 2 years on Breezy. With the resources Automatic has, they could have, in my opinion, they could have pushed this a lot faster and.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Kind of knocked it out the park. I guess the old adage is that they're looking to give functionality if 80% of the people need it, then they're going to put it in. and so there's an awful lot of people to need a particular feature. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, my feeling right at the time, everybody in the run up to November was sort of thinking, can we? Well, not everybody, but a lot of people were voting with their 1-star rating on WordPress.org about it. And one of the things that just kept coming up over and over and over again was, can we just have it as a plugin? Can we just have it as an option, please? And then should it turn out to be something that everybody likes, then maybe in, I don't know, WordPress 6 or something like that, we could enable it by default once a lot of people have got there. Yeah, it's strange. I have to say, I've used it. The only situation that I've really found useful, I keep saying this, is just text, just paragraph text. And in that situation, it works admirably. But to do anything more complicated with the layouts, I just haven't found it easy to work with. And even with text, to be honest with you, there's lots of interesting little glitches where I type text and then I have to hover the mouse over here to get out of the area that I'm editing in, and so on and so forth. But I guess what they've got to do now, that it's that moment has passed, it's too late, this thing is out, it's in WordPress core, and they have to keep iterating on it. So these little things like, oh, okay, suddenly everybody's saying let's nest things, let's put blocks inside of blocks, and now let's have the capability to add a cover block and put things in. Like in this case, they showed an example of a I know it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? They're showing as an example of something which Gutenberg can now do, the idea that you can put a list item inside of essentially a background image, which doesn't seem all that impressive as a feature set, and yet that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, for me, it's almost like Marmite. You either like it or you love it. I think I've tried 3 times Gutenberg so far. I've tried to push it to all the clients. A lot of them complained. I went back to Classic, and then another update came in, and then I've installed it again. I literally tried to force myself to use it, and then I gave up. What I realized is that I don't think Gutenberg will, I don't want to say ever, but I think it's just a totally different market. You have page builders to build nice layouts and everything, and Gutenberg is probably there in the middle between the Classic editor and this, where you just want to have more of an advanced post. That's it. So to give you an example, I'm working on a new website right now where the client, as you say, wants a nice background image or just a color with a list. That's all he has, or especially to add the button. Now, I don't want to activate the page builder on a post purely to add the button, because that straight away complicates everything. Straight away they have hundreds or dozens of modules to add, compared to just a few modules here and there, which will probably be better, just kind of like the more advanced version of the Classic editor. So in some ways, depending on the client, you can find a way to use it, I guess.
Yeah, interesting.
It's clear that they needed a change, right? It's very clear that a change needed to be something new, needed to be implemented in the editor part of WordPress. You couldn't go on with the back end, right? But the path seems, yeah, maybe we're looking at it from a professional point of view. You want to do everything with it, and
well, that's the thing. See, it all depends what you're comparing it with. Like I said, I would never touch normal posts with. I would never try to build a nice, page layout out of a post. But literally just now, I've built a nice article for a client, everything they wanted, and at the end, they just wanted the button. Now, yes, of course, I could build a button in Beaver Builder, Elementor, whatever tool.
Yeah,
use a short code there. But then every time you want to edit the button, you'd have to go the other way around, and the client wouldn't really know. But this way, the fact that they've added that / download, and straight away a button appears, and you can change the color, I think it's quite cool.
There's definitely certain features which are quite cool, but there's an awful lot of I think beyond the capabilities of text, it's hard to justify it at the minute.
They'll get there. It's they'll grind on it enough, and they have resources and people that work on it, and eventually they'll get there, I'm sure. But actually, I'm not sure what they want. I know that the phase 2 will be the page editor, something like this, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're going to take on headers and footers and that kind of thing. Yeah,
they want to tap in that, basically in competing with page builders, right?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time, isn't it? At the minute, it's got very limited capabilities, but down the road, they're talking about, adding the capability to do entire websites, headers and footers. I can't remember. There's 4 cycles, and we've been through the first one, and we're kind of into number 2. And the third one, I think, involved kind of multilingual setup so that you could internationalize your site within the page editor. So obviously, if you've got a plugin to do with internationalization, that suddenly puts a big target on your back. And I guess in the same way that if you're running a page builder plugin, there was this great fear that it was going to eat your cake, it carve up your business. But luckily, luckily the implementation wasn't good enough.
I'm not feeling pressure right now, so it's okay.
Let's move on. Let's go for the second piece of news. Now, that was all I could find this week to do with WordPress core. So the next few sections, there's quite a lot of this actually. A lot of it's to do with WordCamps. The first one is about this global accessibility event, and I'll just very quickly tell you what I remember from reading this article. The Polyglots team have got this kind of virtual day or virtual translation day where you can kind of log on. I don't know exactly what system they use, but you can sit at your computer at home and you can help to internationalize and translate WordPress. Well, the accessibility team have got a laundry list as long as your arm of things which need to be done to make WordPress much more accessible, and so they've decided that they're going to go down the same route. They're going to take this model and put out a day when people can contribute to the accessibility side of things. And so I just thought I'd mention that. I just thought that was quite a useful project. It strikes me that these could be, this idea could be repurposed all over the place rather than having to meet up in total. Because the team is quite small and the resources are really small, it turns out that this is a really difficult thing for them to do. So putting it out there, letting everybody know long in advance that, look, there's going to be this day, please, everybody sign up if you've got an interest in this. It seems like a really nice idea, so that's why I mentioned that. If anybody's got anything to add, I'll let go for it, but otherwise I'll just crack on with the next piece of news. In which case, I will crack on with the next piece of news. This is again on WP Tavern. It's called WordSesh EMEA, coming September 25th, a new virtual WordPress event for Europe, Middle East and Africa. This intriguing, this. WordSesh do exactly the same kind of thing. They put on these like a WordCamp, but you just sign up. Over at WP Sessions, I believe it is, perhaps wpsessions.com, I can't remember. And you can just attend what feels like a WordCamp, but from the comfort of your own home. And what they've decided to do is they've decided to launch one. It's on September the 25th, but they've organised it into just a 12-hour section so that they can cope with the people who live best in Europe, the Middle East and Africa, because I suppose to some extent, if you've got this 12-hour block and the world spins around, the people in those parts of the world are best served by this. It strikes me as quite a cool idea. It's intriguing to sort of lump Europe, the Middle East and Africa all in here. And I think they're taking applications for speakers at the moment. So if you've got a thing that you really want to talk about and you like this kind of stuff, then go and get yourself signed up. They'll give you $250 if you're, I guess that's American dollars, if your talk is accepted. You've got until Friday to submit your talk, but strikes me as quite a nice thing. Anybody on that one, or shall I just crack on?
I nominate Alex.
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised. I used to be a seminar junkie. I used to go to a lot of different seminars throughout London. I lived for about 6 years there. But still, up until today, I haven't really heard of anything WordPress kind of related which is online. And it's funny because we're 2019, we live in a digital world and you don't see anything.
Yeah.
The best thing I found was about 2 years ago where Neil Patel was doing like a marketing kind of podcast across a whole week. You sign up, you pay, and then you have a chance of watching different seminars, kind of like a traffic and conversion, but the online version of it with real podcasts, real interviews done on the spot. So that's why I think something like this is quite great, because not everyone can afford or has the time to actually travel all the way to, wherever an event is. So
yeah, I think this. I'm starting to see a lot of sessions online or camps online or webinars and things like that lately. So I'm thinking maybe it's just developing this. Lately it's started to develop this kind of approach, and it's comfortable. You stay in your pajamas and do something. Yeah,
yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's if you go to like WordCamp Europe or something, and you don't live down the road, it's expensive. You got a flight, you've got some hotels, you've got your meals to pay for, and all of that kind of stuff, and it adds up. And if you're not going for the hallway track, if you're just literally going for the talks. Well, those talks are available on WordPress.tv. Plus, if you can participate in a live event like this is, it's interesting. Quite like the idea. And there's so much WordCamp news. I'm just going to plough through these next couple really quickly. Again on WP Tavern, WordCamp Central America is being organised. It's going to be taking place in Managua, which is in Nicaragua, in 2020. So just go and click on the show notes if you're in that part of the world and you're interested. And it follows on from the success of WordCamp Europe, which has then sort of spawned WordCamp Asia, which is the next piece. So, God, we're really banging on about WordCamp. WordCamp Asia, which is taking place in Thailand. I believe it's Bangkok can't remember the date it's happening, but they've opened for speakers now. So the one in Central America, that's just, they're just proposing it at the moment. It's too far off. But the one in Bangkok is now open for speakers. So if you're interested, go and click on the link in the show notes. Sorry, somebody was going to say something. Take over.
Yeah, in February, I think, but let me check.
Okay.
Yeah, February. Yeah.
February. Okay, great. Right, so that was a whole load of like WordPressy, WordCampy type news, and now we're onto sort of more potentially solid ground with an interesting development over at Ninja Forms, who this week decided they were going to take over a completely rival Forms plugin, which just seems on the face of it to be really weird. And Paul, you're taking this one, I think.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of Forms news flying around this week. Before this one, there was the Happy Forms. This one isn't in the list, I don't think, but Happy Forms changed their pricing model and started taking away features. They took away a bunch of features from the free version and put it into the premium version, which upset a lot of people, understandably. So I assume they're going to have to do some work to justify that. But then the item we're talking about at the moment is that the company called Saturday Drive, who are the owners of Ninja Forms, really popular form plugin, have acquired Caldera Forms, which is Josh Pollock's plugin. Yep. And so it's an odd one because they've made an announcement that they're going to run both of the two plugins, and they're going to continue development of Caldera Forms. But as I understand it, Josh Pollock won't be working on Caldera, just the general team will. So I tweeted him just to sort of see what he had to say about that, and because I imagine a lot of people, if you're a Caldera Forms user and you've got that embedded in 50 client websites or something, you might be a little bit worried about it. I would. He said to me on Twitter, he said, "I hope that users will give us time to prove that this is a good thing. It's on us right now. We're listening to feedback and making sure it's addressed. I get it, it's only a first step." So if you're a Caldera WP Forms user, then make sure you're kind of sending them and Ninja Forms some feedback on what you'd like to see to happen and any of your concerns. But it's definitely a strange one. One form taking over another one and then claiming that they'll run the two of them together as competitive friends.
Josh Pollock sort of said that it was kind of like I can't remember the words he used, but it was like a side project or something, and he hasn't been able to keep up to date with it because of regular life getting in the way and needing to do his work. Interesting though, the guy I've not heard of the guy, but his name's James Laws. He's the Saturday Drive co-founder. It's very rare that you get this level of honesty, because he says they're acquiring Caldera Forms, a combination of acquiring the team and the profit. So I just thought, okay, fine. He says profit potential, actually, to quote him correctly. So they're taking them over. But it does seem really unusual to have two form offerings. Take Dimi, for example. If Dimi suddenly reached out and their company bought, I don't know, a different page builder, the idea that you would have both of them going on at the same time just seems odd. But obviously, if he's doing it to acquire the users and the potential profit, okay, fair enough. But you're right. I don't think Josh is going to be contributing to the code in any way. So that's quite interesting. Okay, let's move on. Sorry, I said we were done with WordCamp. This is kind of WordCamp related, but this is the last one, I promise. You can take your kids for free to WordCamp in the US in 2019. I believe it's very late October, early November. If you've got now, I thought this must be a misprint, but if anything has been holding you back related to your children to attending WordCamp, they're saying that you can take a child up to 12 years old, and I thought it said 6 years, but it actually says 6 weeks. Okay, a 6-week-old child.
You really need to really love WordPress to go for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, here's my 6-week-old child. So I wondered if that was a typo, if it was 6 weeks. I didn't explore that further, but I double took and thought, wow, 6 weeks, that's really, really, really tiny child. And it's like a drop-in, drop-out thing. You can just take your children, go back at any time, and what have you. And you don't even need to feed them because they're going to give them snacks and a meal. So anybody holding back on WordCamp US, which is in St. Louis, get yourself a ticket now, and you can take your children up to the age of 12. And I think that's a bit fabulous, to be honest. I think the more stuff that we do like that, the better. Right, we're back to Lacey. Paul Lacey, you're going to... Another acquisition, your acquisition man this week. First of all, we got Forms, and now we've got StudioPress. This is an acquisition which happened a whole year ago, but it was quite an interesting article.
Paul, you've acquired StudioPress? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Paul, it's you.
Just all of those profits from the chicken company I had last week. So, so this is it's been a while since we've had WP Engine news on the show, I think. Normally when there's a WP Engine news, it's something that we all snigger at a little bit because it's kind of written from a very PR-focused editorial style. But this one is Brian Gardner, I guess he was the founder of StudioPress.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
And obviously Genesis. Writing a kind of reflective post a year after they were acquired. It's a nice post to read. It's very positive. It makes me feel like, after all, it was a positive acquisition a year ago, and it kind of outlines how they all felt at the time, what they're working on at the moment, and what they are planning to do in the future. And it seems that the acquisition allowed a lot of their team to become completely full-time working on the Genesis framework. So that was a big bonus for any of the Genesis users, because probably, again, with acquisitions, sometimes you feel like it's going to be sidelined, or there's going to be a burst of activity and then it will get sidelined when the money runs out or something. But it seems that good things are happening. And he was kind enough, Brian Gardner was kind enough to reply to a tweet as well, where I asked him if he could sum up the past, present, and future of StudioPress in 3 words. And he took the time out and gave me 3 words, which was success, teamwork, and innovation. So I thought that was really nice. And it feels like with all these acquisitions that the way he quoted that then, to me, feels like it should be almost the boilerplate for any acquisition. That you take the previous success, work as a team, and then make sure to the future you're looking at innovation. So that was super nice of him to do that. But yep, it was a nice reflective post. It's definitely worth a read. And I think the Caldera guys and Ninja Form should probably read the post.
It was really nice, actually. I remember reading it, a few days ago and thinking it's relentlessly positive. It was, they'd freed up a load of time for their team to do things that they'd wanted to do. They've got a really nice roadmap. They've managed to tick a load of boxes. I don't know if that team, from the sounds of it, it feels like the Genesis team is, I don't mean team, I mean the Genesis community is still growing. From where I'm sitting, it doesn't feel like that. But that's just because I don't really frequent that, and I don't go into those Facebook groups or go to StudioPress and download their latest themes and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm pleased. It was a lovely, really nice article. Go check it out. Speaking of checking it out, the next one is, over the last couple of weeks, we've talked a bit about WPCLI, and I just dug this one out this week. It's actually a bit of an old piece, but I thought it would make the news this week because it's an introduction on the pascalbirchler.com website. Pascal goes through the basics of how to set up and use WPCLI. So essentially, this is just a nod to those people in our audience who were talking about it and who were kind of, I don't really know where to go to begin. That's all that one is. And so, Paul, are you again? Crikey, Paul, you're on fire. Talking about Local by Flywheel, which has decided to go all pro,
again, isn't it?
Yeah, this is sort of acquisition, but it's a bit of a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is the tool that loads of people use, I think, which is Local by Flywheel. So it's the tool that helps you develop your WordPress sites locally and then push them to live and do staging and all that sort of stuff. And from what I understand, they've now launched a kind of 2 levels of premium version of this plugin. I don't know if that was, I actually don't use it, so I don't know if that was always a plan that everybody knew about, or is it a new thing that has happened since the acquisition with WP Engine that, which makes sense because, when you acquire a company, I guess you've got to start looking at ways to monetize it. So that's my my usual WP Engine bit of cynicism there. But, they've got to make that money back somehow. So yeah, I think that there's the community version, which is free forever, and then they've kind of locked down what features you can have within the Pro. I don't know if that means the community version has lost some features or not. I'm guessing it probably hasn't. Otherwise, I think there would have been a much bigger storm about this. But they've got a couple of different plans. What the Pro plan is $20, and then the Team plan is $50 per month. So I'm not sure what people think about that. I don't really use this product. We don't really use local development, but that's just come out, and it could be a good news for people, or it could be frustrating. I'm not sure.
I use it. I bought it when it was actually it was called Pressmatic, and it was created by one of the guys that was behind Headway, and so there was a little bit of controversy. I think that's right. Because obviously, Headway kind of collapsed and left a lot of people a little bit disappointed, shall we say. And so I took a punt on this, even though I knew what the backstory was, and really liked it. Really liked using it, and yet every time I mention it, lots of people say, "Oh, it's really slow and it doesn't work." I've never had a problem. Not one time ever has it done anything other than what it was expected to do. So, I click start and it starts and the website comes up. Yeah, you have to wait like 3 seconds or something and then there's the website. But they did always promise, because I bought it before it was bought by Flywheel, they promised that they would grandfather us into any future kind of updates. And although they haven't made that clear on any of their marketing materials, because, I don't suppose you would mention that, because lots of people would maybe complain that it used to be free and so on and so forth. Or, sorry, that you were getting extra features. They have promised on Twitter that they'll give me some extra features. But I don't use Flywheel hosting. So the extra features are a bit pointless to me, because it's about deploying things over to Flywheel and being able to, it automatically decides what files it's going to push and all of that kind of stuff. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I've used this for a while back, just before I moved into things like Cloudways and stuff like that. It was just a lot easier. I mean, I remember about 10 years ago, I used to install XAMPP with the whole MySQL, PHP, and go click there and install WordPress, things like that. It was a pain in the ass. And when this came out a few years back, and you can just, with the click of a button, you have a WordPress set up. It was amazing. What I'm surprised is that it actually took them so long to release a Pro version, because from the beginning it was free, but they had a tab there saying Pro is coming soon or something like that. And now, only what, 2-3 years, they just released the Pro version. So, but again, same as you, I haven't used it in a while, and I'm not using Local by Flywheel. I would have hoped if they do release a Pro version, to at least give some benefits for people who are using other platforms. Yeah. And of course, making it easier, if you're using their own, but still make a use, because for many people who are not using Flywheel, it's really probably not a good, I don't know, I don't want to say anything, so.
Yeah, it's there's one that everybody keeps mentioning. What is it? Everybody says
Lara.
Lara. It's not Lara. Can't be Laravel, can it? What is it?
Laveral.
That may be anyway. Somebody, no doubt, will put it in the comments in a moment. Matt Davis saying it's nothing about it enthused him, and then he agreeing. He said, "I've never had an issue with it." So right, me and you, Matt, for the world.
Laragon.
That's the one. And my understanding is that that's free, and everybody that ever has touched it seems to think this is great. So maybe that's a way to look at it. Okay, so we're moving over from community. We're going to plugins and themes, and I have remembered. So, shall we give Dimmy a completely open floor to tell us what's going on at Breezy? I don't know if there's any.
Breezy, all no. What can I say? We've been working hard on the builder. I think our last update was 3 or 4 months ago. So it's kind of a big deal. The community is anxious to see what we've been working on, and we've basically recoded a bunch of things and worked on the core. We've added a couple of nice features like custom fonts, and we improved the performance of the builder. And we can't wait to after this update. It took a while, but when you're not in this development space, it's easy to get you've paid some cash for the product, and if there is a gap in updates and you think something maybe is wrong, or maybe but the reality is that this is not easy to do, and some updates take longer than others. So it's not a matter of when we did the last update, but it's a matter of doing it right. And when you're working on important things like the foundation, you need to take your time and develop it right. And this is I will not apologize for this, because it's for the best of the project, and it will be great. Bottom line, everything that was and is promised will be delivered, and I can't wait to show what things we're doing. So yeah.
Nice. When
you guys had some questions, I'm not sure what else I can add, but we're pushing hard to
Yeah, thank you. That's nice. What's the? Well, actually, forget that. I won't ask about dates and things, because that's probably the one question that you get asked all the time. But interesting insight about the fact that things that need to be done well take time, and be patient. Yeah.
We have the cloud as well, and I'm not sure if you guys know, we're developing Breezy as a kind of a hybrid product.
Yeah.
We have WordPress, and also the builder is on the cloud, with Breezy Cloud, and you can. We're also working on to link them. You'll be able to sync things from the WordPress to cloud and access them in any WordPress admin. It will be something really cool. So yeah.
Nice.
I'll pass it along.
Yeah, well, we'll keep our eyes and ears firmly peeled. This next one is something to do with security. I'm not going to dwell on this very long, but this was a really nice article, again on WP Tavern, entitled WordPress Security Team Discusses Backporting Security Releases to Fewer Versions. I had no idea this was as complicated as this. So it turns out, if you read this article, that every time there's a security issue, the security team have to test it back to WordPress 3.7 to make sure it's compatible. Now, that's a long time ago. If memory serves, it's 15 versions of WordPress ago. And so they're saying, I think the security team are basically saying, look, there's 0.1% of websites on WordPress using 3.7, and yet we spend quite a lot of time backporting these bug fixes. So maybe we need to have a different approach. I know that, so for example, Drupal's security patch system works on, will keep this version of Drupal going and the last one. Anything beyond that it's up to you. You know, you've got to sort it yourself, or just upgrade. And so there's those kind of things. They're talking about maybe they should just have like a calendar. You know, should it be like 2 years or something like that? And it's just an article saying, here's an idea. We just want to save us a bunch of time. Go and read it, see what your thoughts are. Go into the security team Slack channel, I presume it is. It might be somewhere else, I'm not sure. Probably on make.wordpress.org, thinking about it, and go and comment, you know, if you've got a thought on this. But it does seem a bit silly wasting these guys' time porting things back to a version of WordPress where there's 0.1% of usage. That does seem a bit silly. So feel free, anybody jump in on that, or I can just hand it straight over to Mr. Lacey. Does anybody want to talk about that security thing, or? Okay.
Can this be approached in a different way? I'm not sure if it's even possible, but I'm not sure when did you updated Chrome last time?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It happens basically in the background, and maybe they do it something like two different things must have, and that will be pushed automatically no matter what. You can't decide that because this is for your safety basically. And updates that you will decide if you want to have them or not.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe create two lanes of. I'm not. It's more complex than that, I'm sure, but just an idea.
Yeah.
To make it like.
Yeah, the options are there to sort of automatically upgrade core. I don't ever automatically upgrade core, but I do update it within a very short space of time, which is why I've taken that decision. But for websites where the article is making the point that a lot of people, you can imagine how many people are using WordPress who have no idea what it even means to upgrade things, and basically they're terrified. They know that they've got plugins where they've stopped paying for licenses, so you know they're out of support options, and they're just afraid to click any update buttons because, well, it works today, and if I click those buttons I might be landed with a bill from a developer because I suddenly have a site that doesn't work, you know. And so this is the fight. And so if everything did automatically update, that, yeah, it solves one problem, probably creates a whole load of others. But yeah, interesting. Go check that one out. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Paul, to talk about the Elementor monthly template kits.
Yeah. So Elementor have launched these monthly template kits. So to kind of summarize what they are for anyone who doesn't know, it's an entire pack of templates to make an entire website, plus a complete tutorial, plus animations, all the pop-up things. I mean, there's only one way to sort of describe it, really, and it's an awesome update for anyone who uses Elementor. I'm pretty jealous that this kind of thing exists for the Elementor user. I know Alex is an Elementor user, but just imagine that the difference between this and the usual stuff that we would normally get from templates in page builders would be, we'd get a bunch of templates, and I always tend to find that I've got to reverse engineer them so much that it's not really worth it. So I just tend to use some of those templates as inspiration. But this just walks you through the whole process. They've really thought out these templates, and you could create yourself a pretty awesome digital agency website by spending a couple of hours going through the tutorials and using these templates in Elementor. So well done to them. That's pretty damn awesome. Alex, I know you're an Elementor user. I don't know if you've checked this out already. But
Yeah, I mean, well, Elementor user. I've only started using Elementor a few months ago, and to be honest, taking a step back from this release, one thing that I liked about the company itself compared to, in general, what's out there on the market, it's not just the features, but it's the fact that they take this extra step of educating people. And coming from a marketing background, teaching people how to use certain things and just educating them how to use them for the business, tutorials, things like this, it's a huge win. So, and this falls into the same category. Not only, I mean, in general, for any page builder, you'll find plenty of templates out there. Same for Beaver Builder and same for the other ones. But all those templates are just created by people who are kind of like passionate about design. But one thing I've noticed here, it says, enjoy templates built by Elementor's own designers. Delivering this template kit allows us to showcase our own understanding of the very tool we build. So imagine the fact that we don't know what we don't know. Yes, we're trying to test the tool to its own limits, but we're doing that based on what we think the tool is possible to achieve. Now, this takes things even further because you have someone using their own tool, they know the capabilities, so they're just, using this to showcase everything, and of course helping you from a like inspirational point of view. So I think that's amazing. I think it's really, really good. So yeah, I haven't really looked into this properly. I have seen the actual article a few days ago, so I'm looking forward into diving deeper into this.
The couple of comments that have come through. The first one is from Mike Sale, who he obviously has played with it, because he says the Elementor templates are much better, but they are by no means drag, drop, and done. So he's saying, there is a bit of work to be done. And another comment coming from David McCann, going back to what Dimmy was saying about taking the time to get their stuff right. He just says thank you for taking the time to get it right. So he's not got a pitchfork. He's very happy.
No, I was kidding. The community is very understanding. General, it's normal, to ask questions and to be. Actually, in reality, it's part of our fault because we should have maybe communicated a bit better, right? So, but we were with the heads on this update and all the development, and we should have be a bit more careful and communicated better. But this is we didn't stop anything. We just pushed things along.
Yeah.
Dimi, I don't think
Paul.
you need to apologize. You just happen to have crossed over with those two communities. The expectations of all of the people who want to use Brizy, like myself, in the future and Brizy Cloud, are just that, like you're doing, get it right. And it's whenever you guys do drop an update, it is usually pretty good and always looking like it's in the right direction. So I don't think you've got anything to apologize about.
We have just this one small thing I'll add. We have this how to put it, this phrase, the Brizy way here in the office. So we kind of everything we do, we try to pass through that. So if it doesn't fit the Brizy way, of course, if it doesn't fit the vision and what we want to do here and how it should work and be incorporated in the whole, it doesn't pass through, and everything we do like that. So we'll in a couple of months things will clear and everything will come together in a form that I think everyone will be impressed.
I think the most important thing is to listen to the community. I can't tell you how many times I've purchased a product or looked at something and you would want something which is essential, right? It's a no-brainer for me, let alone for the person who's developing, right? You need it and you request it and you don't hear anything, for like months or even more, they just ignore it. So that's why at the end of the day, yes, it's your tool, but you have to remember why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. And as long as you interact with the community, you talk, you educate and all that, and you listen to what they want, basically you're building a tool that they need,
I agree 100%, but there is a small issue here. Anything on our huge list is number one on someone's list. From my point of view, you can't win, right? Yeah. You want 3D buttons, you want pods, I don't know what you want. So it's kind of hard to tackle.
The life.
Everything is written there somewhere, so it will get done eventually.
I guess you just have to find that middle balance. I've jumped into a new tool probably about a year ago. I'm not sure if I should mention the name or not. It's similar to Asana, and it was great. And the best feature I found is they have this public roadmap, and they have the suggestion box, and people would suggest things and then they would be approved, and in the next few months you would see them being released. And that was amazing, because now a year later they just released version 2 of that project management system, and it's amazing because it's pretty much every single thing that I noticed is missed, but now it has that thing, so it's great.
Mike Sale in the comments says that he thinks Breezy Cloud is the future for non-coding designers. He thinks that's cracking. And also Matt Davis saying, you can't say yes to everything. That's just madness as well, isn't it? So, right, okay, let's move along. I'll just very light touch on these. If you use WooCommerce, there's a Pinterest plugin where you can basically automate all the things with Pinterest. Just go and click the link. If you develop themes, then the theme sniffer has been updated, to check out your PHP and make sure that it's following the WordPress coding standards. Theme sniffer 1.1.0 and the WP theme review 0.2.0 has been released. Go check that out on make.wordpress.org. That's all I'm going to say about that. Somebody has been playing around creating SVG background images in the customizers. This is Justin Tadlock. So if you've always wanted SVG images as your background for your website, he's working on it. And Bootstrap 4. And although nobody's nominated themselves for this one, I wondered, Paul, if this was something that you did want to talk about, because we had this last week. The guys over at Toolset, they're using Bootstrap 4, and I don't know if you've got an update for us on that or anything.
I think this is actually the exact same article from last week.
July 31st. So no, it isn't.
Is it?
What it is, it's a tutorial
No.
this time. Last time they explained
Okay.
Last time they explained what they were doing, and this time, obviously, maybe people reached out and said we don't get it. So this week it's a here's how to do
This
it.
is the tutorial.
type of article. So
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that you'd reached out to a few of them
yeah.
on Twitter, which incidentally is a very cool thing that you've started to do. I quite like that.
Yeah, I don't think they got back to me on that one.
Fair
but,
enough.
I don't think they're particularly active on Twitter Toolset. But this is just carrying on from last week that they've implemented Bootstrap 4 into Toolset. So if you quite like semi-hand coding your layouts, then Toolset is a good option for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you were frustrated that you have to constantly look everything up with your own CSS, then Bootstrap 4 integration with Toolset has saved you a lot of time, because these kind of tutorial is showing you how, for instance, you can use some of the Bootstrap UI elements by just adding classes to some of the divs and elements that you're building within the Toolset environment.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go into a lot of detail to explain exactly how Toolset works.
No.
But no, I'm not going to do that.
No time.
So if you
No
do
time.
use Toolset, you'll know that you can add a class to something, and then it will automatically inherit some of the Bootstrap 4 styles on that basis.
Yeah. Right, let's move on. We're running out of time. Security news. There's a whole bunch of stuff over on iThemes. Click on the first link to get to the iThemes one. They just list out everything by plugin, and it's done really well with like featured images and so on, so you can see the image from the plugin in question. A whole load of stuff that's been going on in the security news this week, so go and check that out. There's also a post linking to the WordFence equivalent. And then there's this thing from Securi called Neapolitan Backdoor Injection. Just go check it out if you're interested in security news. And then there's something about PHP, but I won't go on to that. What I will mention, bit of self-promotion, is we did an episode with WP Builds did an episode with a chap called Stuart Brameld, who has this plugin which enables you to kind of like offload your media library. So although you normally have the media library, it's all in WordPress, it takes it all and sticks it into Azure, Microsoft's Azure, or Amazon's S3, so that you can essentially interact with your media library, but it's held somewhere else. So you get the benefits of their CDN and their amazing, basically they don't go down, do they? And so listen to that if you've ever been frustrated by the capabilities of the media library. And I know that he's got a few updates coming out soon as well. And we're done with WordPress. We've just got a few bits here with, you've mentioned Happy Press. Paul, did you want to mention WPMU's Forminator?
Super briefly, the updates I've got that I found was WPMU, following on from all this form news, have updated Forminator, their Forminator plugin. Now you can take payments through it, which I assume through PayPal and Stripe, and that's part of the free plugin that I think you can get on the WordPress repo. So if you I think if you did that with Gravity Forms, you'd need the paid version. So that's a nice new feature that they've added there. They're adding new stuff all the time. The other ones we've got in terms of the WordPress plugins is a friend of WP Builds, Barna Bookspawn, has released his plugin.
Yes.
To go and check it out. It's called Cart2WP. So that's cart number 2wp.com. And at the moment, the main purpose of the plugin is to actually connect Thrivecart to WordPress, so that when you have somebody buy something on Thrivecart, it will automatically connect them, create them an account in your WordPress install, log them in, and then you can design the dashboard. And it also does a few things like turns off the strip at the top. I forgot what it's called now. The WordPress strip at the top. But it's a super simple integration. So if you have, for instance, a LearnDash course or something like that, and you just want a really simple Thrivecart to someone's logged in, there's the course, then this is definitely something to go and check out. He's been working on it for quite a while. So cart2wp.com. And then the only other thing I've got as well is RunCloud released a new massive feature to the dashboard, which is the ability to do one-click WordPress install on the RunCloud dashboard to one of your applications. And then the other super nice update they've released is the super simple server connection. So previously you had to kind of use like a cut and paste scripts into terminal and stuff, which most of us figured out, but it's still a bit scary. Whereas now you can connect it all up with just username, password, and an IP address. I've not actually tested it. I've tested out the beta version, and that worked fine. And I know, Alex, you've been actually for real using that.
I've been busy yesterday doing some installs. It's fairly easy, to be honest, especially the initial install with just by putting the root password there and the RunCloud taking care of everything, installing everything it needs. It helps a lot. I mean, if you remember first time when I started using it, and I had to copy paste that code, and then the browser wouldn't let me, and had to install some different software, and I didn't know what to use to connect. So now it's literally like a 2 minutes install, and even though the one click WordPress, that's amazing. So yep, check it out.
I feel that Paul's about to say the thing that I'm about to say, because we share a Google Doc and I can see his mouse hovering over what I'm looking at, which is to say that WordCamp Johannesburg are looking for sponsors. So if you are in that part of the world, they are looking for sponsors. So, I don't suppose you need to be in that part of the world thinking about it. If you're in any way running a company or working with a company that feels they'd like to get themselves sponsoring a WordCamp down in the Southern Hemisphere, Johannesburg in this case, then go and... I don't have a link to that, I'm sorry to say, but I'm sure if you Google Johannesburg WordCamp, you'll find something of use. I'm only going to mention a couple of the things. There's a tutorial about CSS Flexbox from OS Training you might want to go and check out. The other one that I do want to mention is I think I'm liking what Chrome have just released in version 76 of the browser. They've basically made it really difficult to use Flash. So good, let's have the end of that nonsense, please. And they've also decided that they're going to shut down a bit of a loophole whereby... Now, this is not going to make publishers happy. If you're the New York Times... Turns out that, you're limiting. If you come to the New York Times, I'm going to make up a number. You're allowed to read 10 articles for free. After that, you got to pay. And so a lot of people quickly worked out, well, I'll just go to incognito mode. And when I want to read a new article, I'll open up a new incognito mode. And when I want to read another one, and so it goes. And you could read forever and ever and ever. And so the New York Times and various other vendors of content worked out that there was a way of polling the browser to reveal the incognito mode was enabled and being used. And so the New York Times and other people said, well, go away. If you're using incognito, you are not going to read our content. And Chrome have shut this down. You cannot now know whether somebody's in incognito mode or not. And I think that's very cool. I'm up for privacy. And what else? What's my other last one? Just to say Netflix are putting their prices up. I mean, this is earth-shattering stuff. But in the UK, they're going up in price.
My colleague Bogdan told me a joke which he read on Twitter the other day with this announcement, and that guy replied something like, "I hope the account I'm using from my friend has cash in his bank account.
Yeah, it's not gone up that much, but it just kind of, the reason I mentioned this article is because Netflix sort of suddenly feels a bit like a monopoly of content. You know, they've got to the point where, I mean, I know there's Amazon and I know there's a couple of others, but it feels like Netflix have got so much of a stranglehold that they could kind of almost charge like double what they're charging, and people, I think, might feel that, okay, it's worth it, so they're sort of slowly creeping it up. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. That's it. I'm done. Unless anybody's got anything to add, I'm going to say we finished it in a record-breaking 1 hour and 6 minutes, which is not bad. Thank you. Paul, what you up to this week? What you reading? What you doing this week? What's going on in your life?
Not really reading anything. I finished a really good computer game on my phone, which is like an adventure game called Whispers of a Machine.
Nice.
It's like it's really good, like a cyberpunk point and click game. So I really recommend that. The other I'm going on holiday next week, so I've got the week from hell, followed by a holiday, followed by the other week from hell when I get back. But the plugin that's really saved me this previous week, that anyone who's never used it, just check out Dimitrie All Import and Dimitrie All Export, which is by the people who also make Oxygen, I think. That plugin has been so essential to me this last week, porting over old sites and trying to rebuild directories and stuff like that. So that's something to check out as well. But yeah, the computer game was great. I did that because my family were away on holiday last week, so I actually got to do some stuff that I wanted to do.
Computer games. I will make sure that your wife gets the link to the last 6 minutes of this episode. And I do, however, have to say I completely get the whole I'm going on holiday, so I'm going to have the week from hell, and then I'm going to have another one when I go. Kind of makes you not want to go on holiday, doesn't it? You sort of sit there thinking it's going to be horrible before, it's going to be horrible afterwards.
I hope it won't be.
Bless you.
Be fine, but
bless you.
I'm prepared.
Dimmy, any URLs you want to throw at us, Twitter handles, or just tell us something that's going on with you at the minute or whatever?
Yeah, I'll just get back to tasting our latest build. So, this is the priority the next week.
That'll do it. And what about you, Alex? What's going on for you in the next period?
Yeah, thanks for the invite. I mean, speaking about holidays, I'm going on holiday Thursday. And after this holiday, I'll probably need another holiday.
I'm sorry, Alex. I'm actually back in holiday because I went 1 week with the kids on the seaside. So basically, that was.
Oh, you've done it. Oh, okay.
This is my holiday.
It's your stressful weekend. Sorry, Alex. Carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I have about 2 weeks holiday, out of which I think 1 week I'll be spending on the roads. I was telling Dimi, I was asking him how the weather is because apparently we're both from Romania. Well, I've noticed him when he was in the private chat. So I'm going back home, and this time I'm not sure why I've decided to drive. Now to go from UK to Romania probably takes about 2-3 days. Considering you have to make some stops. When you come back, another 2-3 days, and while I'm there, because I haven't been there for about 5 years, I need to visit some relatives. So another 2 days will be wasted on the road. So after with 2 weeks holiday, at least 7-8 days will literally be spent driving. So yeah, I'll definitely need another holiday after that.
Oh, well, the only thing that's changing in my life is that I'm cycling more. I've decided to do a bit of a bike ride, which I'll tell you more about another time. But I've decided to cycle an awful lot more. So I'm going to be on my bicycle a lot this week, trying to get fit. But that's it. Thank you for listening. We got a podcast on Thursdays. Sign up. Go to wpbuilds.com/subscribe. Get yourself signed up. And other than that, we put this WordPress Weekly News out every Monday. I do my version of it, where I just blather on for about half an hour, and then we do this live version where 4 of us talk, and it's really cool. Thanks for everybody who's participated. I'm sorry I haven't been able to read the comments as effectively this week because I'm trying to make the screen a bit more interesting and make the screen flick from one person to another. I'll figure it out, so I can comment a bit more on the comments. But thanks to Paul, thanks to Dimmy, and thanks to Alex. Alex, I really appreciate you coming on.
Perfect.
Take it easy.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye. Do-do-do. That's it. I'm going to click end broadcast.